After my CEO wife replaced me for an endorsement, I bankrupted her entire family. Scrolling through Victoria Lewis's male assistant's social media feed, I found out that the $5 million endorsement I'd secured for my company's star actor had been snatched away and given to him by Victoria, all because of a word from the assistant. In the photo, the assistant, Julian Vance, was showing off on the commercial set, with a gloating caption, "Thanks to my boss, Lady Five, for the hookup. This humble assistant is breaking into showbiz." I immediately called her CEO office to demand an explanation, but Victoria was extremely impatient. "The kid did a great job on something. It's just a reward to help him chase his dream. Besides, it's just one coffee endorsement. Your actor doesn't lack opportunities. Why make such a fuss?" Without another word, I hung up and ordered 300 cups of coffee, all different flavors, delivered to the set. He wanted to chase his dream? Fine. I'd let him chase it until he puked Chapter 1. When the 300 coffees arrived on set, everyone froze. No one dared to speak, just standing there awkwardly. Only Julian Vance was sitting with his eyes closed, enjoying being waited on. 3 or 4 people buzzed around him, fetching drinks, adjusting his clothes, powdering his face, pampering him more meticulously than a millionaire's son. As soon as they saw me and the crowd of men in suits and sunglasses behind me, they stopped their tasks and respectfully moved aside. The set fell eerily silent. Julian finally opened his eyes. He frowned, about to scold someone, but then his brow furrowed slightly when he saw me. He stood up, glanced at the intimidated people around him, then turned back to me with a mocking smirk. "Sincere Clark, you must have seen that social media post. Let's just cut to the chase. One word from me, and Ms. Lewis gives an endorsement you dropped big money on to a total nobody like me. Seems like being the Lewis family's live-in son-in-law isn't working out so well for you. Dependent on Lewis resources, aren't you? Without them, you'd have no say in this industry." Hearing this, I laughed. This pretty idiot really did trade his brains for looks. Even with half a brain, he should know Victoria didn't marry me just for love. I leisurely sat down in a chair, looking at him with a half smile. "Then watch closely and see who calls the shots today, Victoria Lewis or me, you lot. Aren't you going to help Mr. Vance here properly fulfill his celebrity dream?" I glanced towards my bodyguards, and 2 burly men immediately grabbed Julian, dragging him to the table loaded with coffee. With his skinny arms and legs, Julian couldn't struggle free. He could only glare at me. "What are you doing?" I smiled faintly. "Helping you shoot the commercial. As a complete amateur, you don't understand our business yet. For the perfect take, you need at least a few dozen tries. We at Lewis Corp, we believe in authenticity. Even for commercials, you have to actually drink the product to really connect with the audience. So I paid out of my own pocket. Surely out of these 300 cups you can manage one usable take?" Chapter 2. Are you crazy? Disbelief was written all over Julian's face. "You're just throwing your weight around all this high-sounding nonsense about we at Lewis Corp. Just wait until Miss Lewis finds out. Let's see how you handle it." Then I shrugged nonchalantly. "I am Victoria Lewis's legitimate husband. Anything I do is for the good of the Lewis family. Besides, I'm the one who signed the contract with her. I haven't even brought up her breach of contract by swapping people out first. What right does she have to challenge me?" With that, I nodded at a nearby bodyguard. "What are you waiting for? Help Mr. Vance drink his coffee." The bodyguard obeyed instantly, grabbing a coffee and starting to force-feed Julian. After 3 cups were forced down, Julian's stomach visibly bulged. His face was ghastly pale, his forced smile worse than crying. Suddenly, he retched and vomited. Everyone grimaced in disgust, backing away hastily. I chuckled. "Mr. Vance, if you can't handle this little bit of hardship, how are you going to make it in showbiz? Seeing as you've taken such good care of my wife, I'll do you the favor of fast-tracking your training. Hold him down, keep pouring. Don't stop unless I say so." 2 bodyguards understood immediately. One restrained Julian while the other grabbed a coffee, pried his mouth open, and prepared to pour. Suddenly, a sharp female voice cut through from the entrance. "Stop it, all of you, Chapter 3. When Julian saw who had arrived, it was as if he'd seen his savior. Mustering strength from nowhere, he broke free from the bodyguard's grip and ran sobbing towards Victoria Lewis. Victoria shielded him behind her, surveyed the scene, and finally fixed her gaze on me. "Sincere Clark, what is this nonsense now?" Before I could speak, Julian preempted me. "Boss Lady V, please don't blame Mr. Clark. He was just trying to guide me since I lack experience." Victoria snorted, pointing at the 300 cups of coffee. "Is this how someone guides people?" Mr. Clark said. "Lewis Corp values authenticity." Julian's voice trailed off, sounding increasingly victimized. His words hit Victoria's sore spot directly. What Lewis Corp does or doesn't do is not for him to dictate. I stood up abruptly, my leather shoes clicking as I walked towards her. "I am the son-in-law approved by your parents. If I can't dictate, should the one hiding behind you?" Victoria flared up. "Sincere Clark, don't go too far. My relationship with Assistant Vance is strictly professional. If you want to be jealous, pick the right target." I laughed outright. I've been in this business for years, and I've never heard of a sponsor pushing someone because their assistant work was good. I'm not petty. You buy him cars, houses, I can turn a blind eye. But snatching an endorsement right out from under me, you're digging your own grave. Victoria tried to argue, but I cut her off, pushing her aside and turning to the still small, pitiful, and helpless Julian with a sneer. "And you, thinking you're so clever. Don't imagine grabbing one endorsement shakes my position. You should think harder about what happens when this commercial actually airs. Will you become famous first, or will the fans tear you apart? Oh, wait, I forgot infamy is still fame. Well then, I wish you a long and prosperous career in showbiz." Julian's face flushed crimson. He opened his mouth to retort, but started vomiting violently again instead. Victoria rushed forward, patting his back while yelling at the nearby crew members. "What are you standing there for? Use your eyes. Get some hot water." Quickly, the mere mention of water made Julian heave uncontrollably, crying and shouting, "I don't want to drink anymore. I don't want to drink, Boss Lady V. Please, go talk to Mr. Clark. Plead for me. I won't dare do it again." Victoria sobbed, looking utterly distressed. She handed Julian over to a crew member, then turned and pointed a finger at my nose, yelling, "Sincere Clark, have you had enough? If something happens to him from drinking all this, can you bear the responsibility? Must you make such an ugly scene for everyone over one damned endorsement?" Noticing the vomit splattered on her high heels, I pinched my nose and stepped back. "Victoria Lewis, let me remind you one more time. You begged me for this damned endorsement. I didn't crawl to you relying on connections. Before you argue with me to protect him, you'd better think hard about how you're going to pay that 5 times penalty fee." The mention of $25 million choked Victoria into silence, suppressing her anger. She finally softened her tone. "Sincere, I really have no improper relationship with him." Then giving the endorsement to a nobody. I let my words hang, casting a meaningful glance at the still retching Julian. Victoria's expression shifted several times, likely weighing her lover against the money. Ultimately, she chose the latter. "You can have the endorsement back, but it needs to go live in 1 week. If you miss the deadline, that $25 million penalty falls on you." With that, she strode past me, helped Julian into the waiting Maybach at the entrance, and sped away. The director trembled nearby, wiping sweat from his brow. Mr. Clark, 7 days might be a bit." I smiled faintly. "Don't worry. Just make sure the shoot is brilliant and looks good. I'll handle the rest." Chapter 4. 3 days later, I placed the finished commercial film on Victoria Lewis's desk. Victoria still wore that contemptuous expression, but barely 2 seconds into watching it, the smile vanished. She pointed at the screen, demanding, "Why is this different from the agreed-upon theme? Do you realize this could cause Lewis Corp massive losses?" I shrugged with a smile. "You'll have to ask yourself that." To force my shooting schedule shorter, she had already started pre-launch hype, publicly announcing the release date. Trying to delay it now would surely result in a backlash. Victoria was furious. She immediately started rummaging through the contract, trying to find evidence of my breach. I propped my feet up on the coffee table, my tone light. Don't bother looking. If I did it this way, you can bet I made sure it wasn't a breach of contract. Victoria slammed her hand on the table. Sincere Clark, what good does this do you? You openly stole my endorsement for a mere assistant, Victoria. Have you been at the top for so long you've forgotten who props up Lewis Corp? I shot her a cold glance. Victoria choked, speechless for a moment. I leaned back lazily against the sofa, a smirk playing on my lips. Instead of wasting time arguing with me, you should figure out how to save your precious Lewis Corp. Victoria clutched her phone, her face a mask of conflict. After a long struggle, she finally humbled herself, stepping down from her CEO throne and sitting beside me. Sincere, this time I'm begging you. For the sake of our years together as husband and wife, please save Lewis Corp. I glanced at her, turned away, and continued scrolling on my phone. Victoria quickly moved to my other side, no longer sitting. She knelt, her precious knees hitting the floor, her slender hands resting on my thigh. Her sincere expression held a trace of seduction. Sincere, I was wrong. I was truly wrong. I swear I have absolutely no physical relationship with Julian Vance. If you don't like me being close to him, I'll transfer him to another department right now. I shouldn't have yelled at you or pressured you. Dad's right, husband and wife must be united to overcome difficulties. Please be the bigger person. Forgive me. Help me. Looking into her pitiful eyes, I thought, it wasn't that she didn't understand, she understood all too well. She assumed that because I agreed to the marriage alliance, I would inevitably grow fond of her, fall in love with her. Once in love, I would tolerate her every action, continue pouring money and resources into her endeavors, being the silent supporter behind her. Even if one day I decided I couldn't tolerate it anymore and wanted a divorce, I would find myself so deeply entangled with her that our fates were intertwined, bound together for better or worse. Unable to leave, unable to shake her off, forced to sit in this toxic mess of a marriage and suffer through a lifetime with her. Unfortunately for her, she misjudged me. I, Sincere Clark, would rather bear infamy than wrong myself. Reaching out, I grasped the necklace around her neck, my lips curving slightly. All right, transfer him now, and I'll save you immediately. Chapter 5. Victoria scrambled up, called HR, and dealt with Julian Vance right there in front of me. I reviewed the transfer notice with its official stamp, then opened my phone and sent a few messages. Looking back at Victoria, I said, "Done. The new materials are already at the factory, ready to ship any time." Victoria's face changed instantly. She realized I had a backup plan all along, precisely to corner her like this. "Wife, you can't just allow yourself to act preemptively but forbid me from preparing in advance. Don't forget, for this endorsement, Lewis Corp only provided the brand name. The entire material supply chain is under the Clark family name. Honestly, if you had shown some backbone, risked delaying the launch, I might have respected you more. Too bad. You were too hasty." I patted her cheek gently. Before leaving, I made sure to use the CEO's office printer to print out thousands of copies of Julian Vance's transfer notice, then had people plaster them in every corner of the company building. 4 days later, Ethan Scott's endorsement successfully launched. The production team, working overtime at great expense, did not disappoint. The commercial immediately swept the trending lists on major platforms, not only giving Lewis Corp huge exposure, but also earning a wave of goodwill from the general public. I struck while the iron was hot, buying posts from entertainment blogs and paid promotion accounts to heavily promote the new drama series Ethan Scott was currently filming. Watching the constantly updating engagement numbers, I was extremely satisfied. I was just about to invite the commercial director out for a celebratory dinner when Ethan Scott's agent, Agent Miller, rushed frantically into my office. "Mr. Clark, bad news, our Ethan is being bullied on set." As we rushed to the set, Agent Miller explained the situation in the car. Apparently, a brand wanted product placement in the drama and sent a representative to supervise. But this supervisor insisted the director give him a role, claiming it was to observe more closely. The director initially planned to give him a minor background part, but the supervisor got greedy. Using the brand's name as leverage, he demanded more scenes, including ones opposite the male lead played by Ethan Scott. It got to the point where he had practically become the secondary male lead, even adding several scenes specifically depicting the bullying of Ethan's character. I asked which brand it was, and instantly exploded. Lewis Corp again, that damned coffee brand again. So this was the transfer Victoria mentioned. Turns out Julian Vance hadn't given up. He was still dreaming of showbiz. I got out of the car and stormed directly to the director's monitor area. I grabbed Julian Vance, who was reviewing the feed and giving pointers to Director Evans, and slapped him hard across the face, twice. Shameless bastard, afraid to confront me directly, so you pick on my actor instead, huh? Didn't get enough coffee last time. Need me to order another 300 cups? Can't make it at Lewis Corp anymore, so you're trying to latch onto Victoria to get a foothold in entertainment? Julian was stunned by the slaps. Seeing it was me, he didn't dare fight back physically, but yelled at the surrounding crew members. "What are you looking at? Don't you know how to throw this madman out?" I slapped him again. "Who do you think you're ordering around? Don't you know I financed this show? The money Victoria Lewis invested is pocket change compared to mine. Letting you have a small part for fun was already generous. Don't push your luck, trying to lord it over your betters furious." Julian pulled out his phone, intending to call Victoria. With quick reflexes, I knocked it out of his hand, grabbed him by the collar, and shoved him in front of the camera. "Director Evans, aren't you rolling camera? Our big star, Mr. Vance, wants to act? Let's give him a performance he won't forget." Chapter 6. The moment I spoke, everyone scrambled into position. An assistant snapped the clapperboard, and my hand landed crisply on Julian's face again. "Addicted to being the homewrecker. Think you're starring in some epic romance, huh? Always trying to steal someone else's partner. Are you the reincarnation of a sewer rat? Open your damn eyes and look. You can't secure your position. You get bullied, you get beaten. Has Victoria Lewis come to save you? No. Let me tell you, living off a rich woman is useless. Real power, real money. You have to hold it in your own hands, call the shots yourself. That's what's reliable." I grabbed his hair and slammed him hard onto the ground. Julian, with his skinny limbs, was used to crying and throwing tantrums, no match for my Taekwondo black belt. He curled up, whimpering and sobbing pitifully. I shook my stinging hand and stood up. Before I was steady, a furious shout came from behind me. "Sincere Clark, what are you doing now?" I didn't need to look. I knew it was Victoria again. I rolled my eyes, watching her rush over anxiously and help Julian up with a pained expression. An identical scenario, yet she always chose the wrong person. "Me? Ms. Lewis, please be reasonable. Your guy recklessly adds scenes, makes a mess of my script. When it airs and gets slammed, it's not your problem, so you don't care, right?" Victoria glared at me, having completely forgotten her previous groveling. "A couple of extra scenes ruin it? Sounds like your script wasn't that great to begin with. I'm warning you, Sincere Clark, Lewis Corp also invested in this show. I can insert people if I want, add scenes if I want." I laughed bitterly. "With the pittance you invested, it barely covers catering. What gives you the right to put on airs with me? Since you insist on protecting Julian Vance, there's nothing more to say. Victoria Lewis, let's get a divorce." "What?" Victoria clearly hadn't expected this. I didn't give her time to react, turning and walking quickly away. This time Victoria forgot all about her lover. Shoving Julian aside, not caring that he lost his balance and fell again, she ran straight after me. "Sincere Clark, what do you mean, explain yourself? Do you know what divorcing me means? Our parents won't agree to this, so don't even think about it." She chased after me, trying to grab my arm. I became furious, shaking her off violently. I stopped, pulled the wedding ring off my finger, and threw it right in her face. Whether they agree or not is my decision, even if hell freezes over. This divorce is happening. Chapter 7. Victoria was stunned into silence on the spot. I ignored her and got into my car, heading straight for the house I kept separately. On the way, I instructed my lawyer to draft the divorce papers and asked the housekeeper at home to pack all my belongings for movers to collect later. That evening, videos of my confrontation on set were leaked online. The full story was quickly dug up, and Lewis Corp was trending again, this time for all the wrong reasons. I immediately had my people leak the details about the coffee endorsement incident. The public goodwill Ethan Scott had built up proved invaluable. Online sentiment was overwhelmingly one-sided, denouncing the homewrecker Julian Vance and rallying to protect the world's best Ethan. They also lavishly praised me as the badass, fiercely protective boss. My tirade against Julian on set was reposted by numerous entertainment blogs and gossip sites. Headlines screamed real-life entertainment industry revenge drama and rich family feuds are this satisfying. The traffic exploded. Not only did Ethan's fame rise, but my previously obscure social media account gained 1 million followers overnight. The company group chat joked that I should just debut as a celebrity myself. I'd surely be a list. Feeling generous, I sent everyone a $15,000 bonus. Just as I booked a place for a celebration dinner that night, Victoria's call came through. "Sincere Clark, can you stop this nonsense? What good does ruining the Lewis Corp reputation do you?" Still the same unpleasant tone, still dripping with emotional blackmail. I sneered. "Victoria Lewis, you stop the nonsense, okay? I'm divorcing you. Why would I care about the Lewis reputation? And also, my name is Clark. Marrying you didn't make me a Lewis. All that crap about being united for better or worse, it has nothing to do with me. If it weren't for the pennies on the dollar I gained, who would want to be tied to a foolish woman like you? Now, game over. I'm done playing." I slammed down the phone, unwilling to listen to any more of her crap. But 5 minutes later, a text message left me completely stunned. After all these years of marriage, the hospital sent a notification that our IVF procedure was successful. It had to come now, of all times. The embryo transfer procedure requires consent signatures from both husband and wife. That's why they registered both our numbers. Victoria must have received the notification too. Sure enough, the next call was from her father, Arthur Lewis. Arthur sounded practically frantic on the phone. "Sincere, I heard the IVF worked. Dad is begging you, please sign the consent form for the transfer first. Wait until Victoria gives birth, then we can talk about divorce, okay?" The Lewis family had a deep-seated traditional obsession with male heirs. Victoria's mother, Eleanor, was the only child of her generation. So, they opted for Arthur to marry into the family, hoping he'd produce a son to eventually inherit the family business. Unfortunately, after all these years, they only had Victoria. Arthur had endured endless nagging and criticism from the older generation and Eleanor because of this. His hope rested on Victoria having a son after marriage to finally bring him some honor. When arranging our marriage alliance, they conceded on almost everything, even giving the Clark family a 20% stake in Lewis Corp, with just one condition: any children must take the Lewis name, and they had to keep trying until they had a boy. I only cared about the benefits the Lewis connection brought, and besides, my family line was secure with my younger brother, so I agreed without a second thought. But then we discovered Victoria was infertile. The day we found out, Arthur, who had always openly and subtly blamed me for the lack of children and hinted Victoria should find another man to conceive with, went pale with shock. Now, hearing there was finally a chance for a Lewis heir, reconciliation was his only priority. I remained cold. "Arthur, things have gotten this ugly. A child born into this wouldn't be happy. You don't want your grandson to have a cheating mother, divorced parents, and potentially a home-wrecking stepfather, do you? Wouldn't you find that embarrassing?" "I find it degrading." Arthur quickly backpedaled. No, that pretty boy, I've already made Victoria fire him. You can check if you don't believe me. Dad promises as long as you agree to the embryo transfer, however many flings she has outside, I'll beat them all up." It was so absurd I had to laugh. "Arthur, one was more than enough for me. How many more do you expect your daughter to find? But don't try to persuade me. I'm going to the hospital tomorrow to have the embryo destroyed. It's completely over between me and your daughter." I hung up abruptly again. Holding the phone, thinking it over, I decided to post something secretly on my social media feed, visible only to Julian Vance. The picture was the text message from the hospital. I added no words, just a little heart emoji. I specifically tagged my location as the hospital. After posting, I immediately had my assistant drive me straight to the hospital, nowhere else. Chapter 8. Knowing Arthur's volatile nature, he'd go after anyone who threatened his grandchild. Even the child's own father, I feared delays might bring complications. Sure enough, I'd barely arrived at the hospital when Victoria stormed in with Arthur. "Doctor, don't listen to her. You can't destroy the embryo, doctor. We haven't agreed if you destroy it. It's against regulations. I'll report you." Arthur flailed wildly, lunging towards the doctor. I quickly pushed the doctor into an office and locked the door, physically blocking Arthur and Victoria outside. "Arthur, do you own this hospital? You think you can just barge in and make demands? Threaten to report people?" Having dropped all pretense, Arthur started cursing loudly. "Sincere Clark, you shameless bastard, spreading our dirty laundry all over town. I've never seen a man shout so loudly about being cheated on by his wife." I'd heard this line so many times it made my ears hurt. Yes, who could be as magnanimous as you? Couldn't handle your wife's lover when you were young, so you put up with it your whole life, and now you're advising me to do the same. What is it? Can't stand seeing me better off than you, or more successful. Sincere Clark, how dare you speak to Dad like that? Victoria jumped in, angrier than her father. I leaned against the doorframe, slowly turning my fire on her. "Don't you get worked up either. Do you know why, at this moment of life and death for your potential child, your mother didn't come with you? Because she's been hiding an illegitimate son from you and your father all this time. He's almost finished with university now. Maybe in a couple of years he'll be formally acknowledged by the family, kicking you out of the CEO position. So now the Lewis family line has not just an embryo, but a grown man to carry it on. Aren't you happy? Isn't it a surprise? Your lying Arthur's defenses crumbled instantly." Victoria's face went deathly pale. "I don't believe it. Those are baseless claims. You have no proof," she insisted, forcing calmness, trying to reassure Arthur while frantically pulling out her phone to call her mother. The phone rang and rang, but no one answered. Arthur grew even more frantic, gripping Victoria's hand. "Call again, try her cell, then the house phone, then the company. Hurry. Hurry." At that critical moment, a shout echoed down the hallway. "Stop fighting, all of you, both Lewises," and I turned towards the voice. It was Julian Vance. He held the vial containing the embryo high above his head. "Victoria Lewis, you sweet-talked me into fighting Sincere Clark. Now my reputation is ruined. I'm useless, so you just cast me aside. You heartless and cruel, you ruined my life today. I'll make sure your family line ends with that." He smashed the vial violently onto the floor. Victoria reacted quickly, diving to catch it, but I secretly stuck out my foot, tripping her. She face-planted, watching helplessly as the vial holding the last hope for her and her father shattered before her eyes. Arthur went berserk. He lunged at Julian, grabbing him by the throat, screaming incoherently, "Son of a bitch, I'll kill you, you pretty boy. It's all your fault. If you hadn't seduced my daughter, things wouldn't have gotten this bad, and now you dare kill my grandchild. I'll kill you even if it's the last thing I do." The two men rolled on the floor, tangled in a furious struggle. Belatedly arriving security guards rushed over to break them up. Unhurriedly, I strolled casually past the chaotic scene, intending to leave. As I passed Victoria, she called out to me, "Sincere Clark, you win, and you've thrown our Lewis family into chaos and ruin. Are you satisfied now?" "Not satisfied. Extremely satisfied. By the way, the divorce papers were mailed to your office. Don't forget to sign them when you go in tomorrow." I gave her a final contemptuous look and walked away without looking back. I had lied to Victoria. How could I be satisfied yet? I still needed to watch her, clinging to her precious Lewis family legacy, fall completely into the abyss. Thankfully, we had a prenuptial agreement, so the divorce and asset division went smoothly. Severed from me and the Clark family, and plagued by scandals, Lewis Corp declined significantly. I decided to kick them while they were down, hiring major influencers and online trolls to widely publicize the news of Arthur assaulting Julian at the hospital. Lewis Corp's stock plummeted, but the company remained silent, issuing no public relations statements. This was because I had anonymously sold information about Eleanor's lover and illegitimate son to Arthur for a high price. The old Lewis mansion was currently in uproar. They had no time to worry about the company's survival. 3 days later, besieged by numerous competitors, the Lewis Corp stock market crashed. Its subsidiary companies either went bankrupt or were sold off. The money raised wasn't nearly enough to cover the mountain of debt. Eleanor's lover and illegitimate son, seeing which way the wind was blowing, opportunistically grabbed the last bit of cash and disappeared. Driven by rage, Eleanor suffered a stroke and became paralyzed. The Lewis family collapsed completely, never to recover. The last I heard of Victoria Lewis was at some dinner party. Word was, they sold the house and cars, but still had a multi-million-dollar debt hole. She, Arthur, and Eleanor moved into a tiny 200 SQFT rented room in a rundown inner-city neighborhood. Victoria supported all three of them by working as a delivery driver during the day and selling her body at night. Arthur took to collecting scrap metal during the day. Later, while fighting with another old man over ownership of a soda can, he was beaten to death by the other man's gangster son. His body was reportedly dumped in a landfill and left there for 3 days before anyone came for it. By the time Victoria received the news and went to collect the remains, they had decomposed into a liquefied mess. With no money for a burial, she scattered his ashes by the roadside. That same night she went home, stabbed her paralyzed mother to death on the bed, and then slit her own throat. People who heard the story sighed with pity. But I felt extremely satisfied, only wishing their deaths had been more miserable. When someone asked me about Julian Vance's whereabouts, I just smiled without answering. Julian had been locked in the basement of the old Lewis mansion by Victoria. Whenever she or Arthur felt frustrated, they took out their anger on him. At first it was beatings and verbal abuse, but it escalated to burning him with cigarettes, beating him with a baseball bat, and cutting him with a knife. When the Lewis family sold the mansion, they forgot to take him with them, or perhaps they simply never wanted him to reappear in the world. A month after taking possession, the new buyers began renovations and discovered his already unrecognizable body. He had starved to death. Afraid of trouble, the buyers buried him casually somewhere random. Finding the house tainted by bad luck, they quickly sold it off. I paid the private investigator who told me all this a large sum for his silence. Now, in this world, besides me, no one else knows his fate. End.